Hello, I'm Varun. I welcome you to another episode of Vimarsh Cafe, an initiative by Foundation for Creative Social Research. And today we have a very important guest with us, Priyanka Yadav, who has recently completed her PhD from the Center for Political Studies, JNU. And she has worked on a very interesting topic, which is about the politics of healthcare in India, a case study of Mohalla clinics. I welcome Priyanka. Welcome Priyanka to Vimarsh Cafe.
Hi, Varun.
So to start with, the basic question: how did your interest begin in the very domain of research? Can you explain a bit?
It's a very interesting question that you've asked. I do not belong to a family of researchers or academicians बहुत दूर दूर तक. I am a first generation learner. I come from a family of farmers and business people and other things. So with respect to education, not per se anybody had that orientation. And myself too, I was not aware about research as a discipline of study or profession until unless I in my till my graduation third year. It was in my third year of graduation where I found out that there's something called Jawaharlal Nehru University which exists on this planet. I mean, I was that unaware. However, moving forth, when I entered Jawaharlal Nehru University, it opened up a plethora of chances and diverse what you call diverse disciplines in front of me. So it gave me options. It enlightened me with new sort of knowledge. Also, I would like to say it to a certain extent also puzzled me as to what should be done. But later on, after my masters got completed, I realized I took a year's gap after my masters and I was working at a research project. And that's where I realized that I am cut out for research as a profession or as a person. I'm more interested in research or teaching. And that's why when I applied here for MPhil and got into the course, and studied research and understood the entire domain of research. And since then till now, I would say that research is my first interest than any other thing. So that brought me here, and that journey has been long, and that journey has been very much it's full of enlightenments and new path breaking realities which has come across to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Now, coming to this particular research topic that you have chosen for your
Hmm.
PhD research, which is neoliberalism and the politics of healthcare in India, a case study of Mohalla clinics. I was just wondering that what made you choose health or public health and its relationship with a certain economic system, which is neoliberalism. What made you choose this topic?
Yeah, so again, this interest got me when I was a project assistant in one of the projects at Henry Ford Health Systems, US. So I was working on one of their projects on family medicine, and that is where I was oriented towards the mega discipline of health and public health. It brought me close, and from the field I was able to do a lot of field work there you in that particular project. And that's what you it opened up it opened up a new space of public health. And I read so too much. I was able to encounter so many facts and realities about public health. That's what got me interested in the entire domain of health. And when I was switching from MPhil to PhD, when I was getting my upgradation, so that particular time, that what topic should be chosen for PhD, the very instant I got an idea, what why not public health. And because public health is a domain which is too politicized. I mean, of course, it is there. I mean, public health is everybody is aware of it. However, what's the politics behind public health that it's still getting degraded day by day? What is it that which has led to the decline of public health in the Indian realm? So that these are the major concerns which got me to public health. And with respect to mohalla clinics per se, so Mohalla Clinic was an emergent model during the time when I was preparing my PhD synopsis. So it was a very new and interesting model that had come up. So politics of healthcare. So there was politics of healthcare, there was a rhetoric that public health is on decline. We were hearing, we were reading, academicians were writing that the primary healthcare sector is in crisis. And cut to, we had Mohalla clinics as a model which was rising and it was getting international recognition, national recognition. So, how does that come into fore? That was the question. I mean, that's something which ticked my senses, and it made me feel that this would be an interesting concept or an idea to research upon. So that's when I located that Mohalla clinics can be a model of study, and locating it within the realm of neoliberalism when
Hmm.
privatization is
Hmm.
growing so much. And we are living in an era of neoliberalism, we are living in the era of marketization and commodification. In that very milieu, free healthcare, free lab checkups, so it was very ironical as
Hmm.
well as very contradictory.
Hmm.
So that's what made
Hmm.
me interested.
So, if I dig a bit deeper into your
Hmm.
the nuances of your topic, it seems to me that you're trying to fundamentally argue that healthcare is out and out a political issue, but which did not gain the kind of prominence that it has been getting in contemporary times with the advent of Mohalla Clinic. So, why do you think that this shift has happened? Like, why, earlier, because we know neoliberalism in India started with liberalization, and neoliberalism per se is a term that started in 70s with Margaret Thatcher and
Hmm.
Ronald Reagan's regimes. And so, what made India, what made Indian state, so many states in India and Indian central government, shift that we are seeing, that we have seen in Delhi? What made the shift happen, and why did a certain political party choose this kind of initiative, taking into consideration the larger liberalization and privatization domain of neoliberalism?
So I'll take you back to a little bit of a history to what healthcare has been in India. So we were not deprived of a healthcare model. We've had, if you we go back to the Indian knowledge system, we've had our model of healthcare, traditional medicine, Ayurveda, Yajurveda. All of it has a traditional knowledge base for healthcare. However, where society has progressed towards modernization, we have adopted this entire model of hospitals, the British system of healthcare. The Portuguese brought the Department of Hospitals or the entire concept of medicine to India. Later on, it was
The modern medicine you're talking
yeah, the modern medicine. Now, allopathic,
about.
as you say. So the modern medicine was first introduced by the Portuguese, then British later on. The Britishers later on developed
Yeah. Hmm.
the entire model of medicine, and they introduced research in medicine. Then during 1946, just before a year before independence, we had a committee which was known as Bore Committee, which was set up to look after the entire structure of healthcare that will form in the Indian system. That committee gave several recommendations, and on that
When
recommendation,
was it formed?
1946.
Okay.
The committee was formed earlier. 1946, it submitted its report.
Okay.
Sorry. So it submitted its report, and that recommendation was huge. I mean, it had gave several recommendations in several departments, but the most crucial ones was of forming a three-tier structure in the healthcare system, and that three-tier structure was primary healthcare at the core level, secondary healthcare systems at the district level, and then tertiary healthcare at the state level. So, primary would cater to the community's basic healthcare needs for all your small problems. Secondary would cater to some advanced treatment, and tertiary would cater to surgical procedures or much advanced treatments. This model was followed up until 1990s,
Hmm.
and we still have it. However, 1990s was a huge shift in the healthcare system. We transitioned completely. Privatization came in, private players entered the market, and healthcare, which was a right, which was treated as a right, and which should be understood to be as a welfare concept, was shifted to becoming a commodity. in the 1990s. So you had mushrooming of private clinics, private hospitals, private practitioners, so much so that public health, the access to public health as well as the quality of public health
Hmm.
started getting deteriorated. These private practitioners introduce modern types of machineries, technology, modern medicine, newer concepts. So that is what somewhere attracted the Indian audience as well. Another thing that happened was shift from the middle class to the new middle class. The new middle class, which has now accessed foreign medicine, foreign healthcare technology, foreign mode of treatment. They wanted the similar kind of things in the home state. And that's when Apollo clinics were the first, or the Apollo hospitals were the first to begin privatization in the Indian state. So that happened. These were the two things which were simultaneously happening. Now when this happened, healthcare, even the political will, what we say, or the political agenda, not that the government has not worked on it. No government, I mean, we had options like Kerala, which was already working very good in the healthcare domain. We had the National Healthcare Mission. However, too much focus in those missions as well. If you see these programs as well, too much focus was on the secondary and the tertiary care. Getting advanced surgical processes in India, furthering medical tourism, टेक्नोलॉजी को लेके आना, नई तरीके की हेल्थ केयर टेक्नोलॉजी, इस पे हमारा फोकस ज़्यादा चला गया और ये कहीं ना कहीं गवर्नमेंट का भी फोकस वहाँ हुआ, उस तरफ जाने लगा. अब इसमें दूसरी चीज़ जो पैरेलली हो रही है, हमारे जो क्लास ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन है. जब हमने 1947 में शुरू किया, क्लास हमारे लिए रोटी कपड़ा मकान, दैट वाज द एजेंडा. वी बिगैन फ्रॉम देयर. 1990s में के बाद क्लास कॉन्फ़िगरेशन में भी चेंज आया. परचेजिंग पावर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल ऑल्सो relatively was fairly better. So which made them access private clinics, private hospital, and access best of the best technology. And from then to now, our basic need has shifted from roti kapda makan to roti kapda makan and swasth. It's also because of the kind of problems that we face at the health level, that our demand has also become, that healthcare has to be there. This was one party which brought healthcare and primary healthcare to focus. In a state like Delhi. And again, why is it important? Because the structures that they form, they were not supported initially with respect to funds and all. So that made the model unique, and that at the right time the government I think it tapped into public emotion at the right time.
We'll come to that, but two questions I have in my mind. One is that if you see writings of someone like Rob Jenkins and his famous work Reform by Stealth, wherein he has argued that reforms in India happened very surreptitiously, very secretly, and there was no consensus from the middle class concerning reforms, and it was an agenda that was imposed from outside. There was agencies working, and the certain shift in political economy was not accompanied by a will from the majority of the classes, including middle class in India. So do you think that when it comes to healthcare, the reform was deliberate, like there was a demand for such reforms, or like I'm talking about the privatization thing, and then we'll come to Mohalla Clinic, or was it like you just mentioned, that there was a sense of wonder or awe towards medical fields that were there in the West, and middle class used to be fascinated by the new machinery and all. So was it something like a deliberate attempt on the part of the a push from the middle classes that gained prominence after liberalization in India, or was it again a kind of a surreptitious step to privatize without the consent of major classes in India?
So answering to your first question, it's absolutely without the consent of the classes majorly. Reforms that happened in India, there are various theories in place that it was a secret thing that happened. Reform, there were external factors. Then if you read Montek Singh Ahluwalia's M document, you will understand that it was something which was brewing inside the ministry as well. So it was something which happened at the policy level. That is one thing which is clear. Now, when I say the new middle class was welcoming this idea, so the new middle class or the middle class transformed only after liberalization. The middle class became the new middle class after attaining liberalization or after attaining the benefits of liberalization. So what happened was liberalization opened up the gates for new kind of education and employment. So new education is what IT sector was boomed. New kind of technological education was given. Then you were able to employ in the IT industry. Lot of foreign exchange with respect to student and employers happened. Now when this exchange happened and the middle class got an opportunity to move to other cities and states and see their culture and their practices, that's what made them believe in the idea of liberalization and welcome the idea of liberalization and benefit out of this entire privatization and
in the healthcare.
marketization, and in the healthcare system.
So it was not a push from
No,
the
no, no, no. I don't
bottom.
think so.
It was a very
it was not a. It's
top-down.
Top down.
Yeah.
The policy came from the top down method.
But it was pretended
However,
to be a kind of a desire of the middle class that they wanted
yeah,
such things.
and later on, of course, the beneficiaries was this
Were
class.
this class, yeah.
Was this class largely?
Another question that always comes to my mind is that how is this model now coming to Mohalla Clinic? How is this model of primary health care, obviously the perfect manifestation is Mohalla Clinic, which is your work. How is it different from something like dispensary, which has also been quite ubiquitous in some of the states like Punjab, for instance, if you see, because that was also claimed to be a kind of a primary, healthcare model, which the ultimate aim was to prevent people going directly to the secondary and tertiary. So how is this Mohalla Clinic? Was it really an outlier in that sense, or an exception, or a kind of a new entity that emerged, or were there some precedent like dispensary modeling and all?
So in the state, like I earlier mentioned, we had primary healthcare model. So we have, in fact, today as well, we have primary healthcare centers and we have few dispensaries which are running. So the dispensary model, the primary healthcare model is more holistic. The primary health centers, they are more holistic in terms of they provide curative care or preventive and promotive, both. I mean, prevention of the disease also happens, and with respect to cure as both of it is given at the primary healthcare level. With respect to dispensaries, these are only diagnostic cares, wherein you access the dispensary for a particular problem. They will give you a medicine and that's it. They will not work for prevention of a disease. They will not work for community care. They will not work for any particular disease if that has come for prevention of women and child. That functioning is not there with the dispensary. So this model has been there in place. However,
in states apart from Kerala also.
Yeah. Even Delhi has. Delhi has primary health centers, dispensaries. Every state has. However, the functionality part is the question. Most of the, when I started researching, I saw that we do not have a count of how many PHCs we own and what is the quality of the PHCs. And there are very few research that has happened on PHCs of the kind of quality treatment they give. One or two researches have happened, and that's from the government side, not from any independent body which has, because they are very large in number. And secondly, most of the clinics, or I was being a part of the project that I mentioned, I was able to visit few of the PHCs here in South Delhi, some of them in Himachal, some of them in Vellore. So I could see the difference, and in my fieldwork I came across most of the PHCs were non-functional. they were either turned into some other, that property was not appropriately used, that property was misused, or at some places recruitments were not happening, doctors were not available, treatments were not given properly, people are not accessing, क्योंकि अब एक वो लैंग्वेज बन गई है कि यहाँ तो डॉक्टर है ही नहीं, है भी तो कोई रिटायर्ड बंदा, मतलब आदमी बैठा हुआ है, तो आप उसके ऊपर उतना भरोसा नहीं है। अब उस केस में मोहल्ला क्लिनिक आपके पास आता है, क्योंकि नीड तो आपकी प्राइमरी केयर की है ना, आपको चाहिए कि आपके मोहल्ले में या आपके आइडिया क्या है प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर का, कि आपके घर, आपके मोहल्ले में, आपके कम्युनिटी में आपको एक्सेसिबल तरीके से ट्रीटमेंट मिल जाए। हमें किसी हॉस्पिटल की बड़ी लाइन में ना लगना पड़े, मुझे बुखार हुआ है, मुझे दवा चाहिए, मैं यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर तक की डिस्टेंस में चली जाऊं, मेरे को एक डॉक्टर मिल जाए और मुझे दवा लिख के दे दे। इस आइडिया से ये शुरू हुआ, चला भी, लेकिन अगेन 1990s के बाद द डिटोरिएशन हैपेंड विद व्हेन द क्लिनिक स्प्राउटेड अप। तो अब ये आइडिया था, अब इसके बाद फंक्शनैलिटी, एफिशिएंसी इसकी खत्म हो गई। अब यहाँ पे मोहल्ला क्लिनिक ने इसको रिप्लेस कर दिया, रिप्लेस भी नहीं बोलेंगे, लेकिन एक तरीके से उसकी जगह को खामी पूरी की, उसकी जो जगह खाली हो गई थी उसको उसने पूरा किया। अब डिफरेंस क्या आता है, बोथ प्राइमरी हेल्थ सेंटर्स एज वेल एज this dispensaries, they have doctors and drugs to be given. One thing which the Mohalla clinic did differently was they provided lab tests, free lab test, which is again very important in today's allopathic medicine practice. आज का डॉक्टर आपकी नब्ज पकड़ के प्रॉब्लम नहीं बताता है, he will ask you for a test first and then only he will do the other whatever the rest of the diagnosis. And lab tests, as we know, what are the prices of the tests and all. That's again a new demand of the growing population or the changing population. In that demand scenario, Mohalla clinics were able to supply that demand, and that's what made them more welcoming. अच्छा, उसके बाद THCs की जो सर्व करने का रेशियो है, it caters to 30,000 का population, 1 THC to 30,000 population. With respect to Mohalla clinics, it is 1:10,000.
Okay.
So आप ऐसे हो सकता है कि 2 गली में एक लोकेलिटी में 2 गलियां हैं, तो उसमें 2 मोहल्ला क्लिनिक्स आपको मिल जाएंगे। So उसकी रीच और वो जो केटर कर रहा है पॉपुलेशन को, वो बड़ी है। और आप आम जिंदगी में हमारे जो जिस तरीके की लाइफस्टाइल हम लोग रह रहे, या जो वर्किंग क्लास है या लेबर क्लास है, जो डेली वेज पे डेली वेज लेबरर है, या एनीबडी हु इज वर्किंग ऑन पर डे बेसिस, फॉर दैट पर्सन एक्सेस एंड अफोर्डेबिलिटी आर द 2 वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पिलर्स ऑफ हेल्थ केयर. वी कैन नॉट डिनाई दैट. फॉर विमेन, पहली फर्स्ट कैटेगरी इज डेली वेजेस एंड देन यू कम टू वुमेन. एक्सेस एंड अफोर्डेबिलिटी इज ऑफ हेल्थ केयर इज अ प्राइम इशू.
अब अगर हम ये देखें कि जो एग्जाम में सवाल आता है कि जनरली एक आई कुड बी रॉन्ग बट इट सीम्स टू मी दैट एक बायस हो सकता है टूवर्ड्स अर्बन स्फेयर्स. जैसे अगर हम मोहल्ला क्लिनिक को देखें, ऑल्दो वी नो कि दिल्ली हैज़ विलेजेस ऑल्सो, बहुत सारे विलेजेस. आई एम नॉट श्योर कि उसमें कितना ज़्यादा पेनिट्रेशन था मोहल्ला क्लिनिक का, बट इट सीम्स टू मी जैसे कि इवन इन UPA1 वी सॉ नरेगा विच वॉज Rural Employment Guarantee Act, but with the change in regime and with the change in the right-based modeling जो UPA का था, it seems to me कि focus थोड़ा सा shift हुआ rural से urban की तरफ, because we are, this exponential urbanization is happening in India right now. So in that context, do you think that Mohalla Clinic is a new initiative of that sort, which is catering more to the urban rather than to the rural, and which is also simultaneously showing us a shift that is happening in the policy framework of the government, that now they are focusing more on the urban because they know that urbanization is unavoidable?
Yeah, see, when we started off after independence, we were largely a rural population. Now we are a largely urban
Urban or
population. We're
semi-urban,
fairly
yeah.
semi-urban and
Hmm.
urban population. So the shift is definitely there with respect to demography and geography.
Hmm.
Secondly, with respect to mohalla clinics catering to rural population or not, or such models being getting transformed. See, these models which the government brings in, these are they act as a trigger.
Hmm.
When I say health is political and the government was able to politicize this matter of health, what is important here is to understand that they brought attention back
Hmm.
to something which was integral.
Hmm.
The model, according to me, the model is not important, although my case study is on the model.
Hmm.
But the model is not important. What for me is
The
more
shift in
important
the
is-
frame, you say.
yeah, the bringing back of attention
Yeah.
to primary healthcare. I mean, we have to understand that access to care begins from primary healthcare, and then you approach a secondary system, and then the tertiary. If you look at the line at AIMS, people are there standing for a small flu also,
Hmm. Hmm.
and we are accessing a tertiary care center unnecessarily. Imagine if we had proper primary healthcare centers, that proper stratification, would that been the case? No.
True.
So what I'm trying to argue here is that the model, of course, the model is competent in itself. It is substantial with certain loopholes, and it's no, I will not say it's one of a kind of a model, but it's a substantial model in place. What it has effectively done is brought back people's and the governments, the political leaders' attention to primary health. And so I'll just finish this by saying, so many of these states in UP, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, they have adopted similar models in their home state.
Okay.
Even private practitioners,
After Mohalla Clinic.
after Mohalla Clinic,
Okay.
Sanjeevni, Apla Mohalla Clinic in Maharashtra, Sanjeevni in Madhya
And
Pradesh.
what is there in UP?
In UP, the name it's Mohalla Clinic only. Delhi
Okay.
has Mohalla clinics. So the Rajasthan has proposed to have Mohalla clinics,
Okay.
and
Punjab certainly has.
Punjab has it. So the model is coming up. Although इसको कई लोग political move भी बोल सकते हैं, ये कहेंगे कि यार पार्टी dissolve हो जाएगी तो मॉडल भी चला जाएगा. लेकिन हमको अगर कोई चेंज लाना है, बिहेवियरल चेंज लाना बहुत मुश्किल है. लोगों को आप मॉडल दे सकते हो, बट लोगों के अंदर बिहेवियरल चेंज कैसे आता है? जब कुछ इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हो या हम किसी को प्राइमरी हेल्थ केयर के बारे में बता सकते हैं, लेकिन जब तक उन्होंने खुद एक्सेस ना किया हो, जब तक उन्होंने उसके बेनिफिट को ना देखा हो, वो उसको नहीं समझ सकते. तो दैट इज व्हाट मोहल्ला क्लिनिक हैज डन. दे हैव imbibed the culture of primary health care and access to care from the grassroots level. Now when that is there, it has
So it has changed the behavioral pattern of the people towards primary health care as well as the pattern of government.
Government, of course. You know, private practitioners also. Practo has Practo clinics. Apollo has Apollo clinics now. Medanta clinics have come.
But that is a different model.
No, that they have come very recently. That's the similar primary healthcare provide करने के लिए है.
But that is private, no? That costs you money.
It's private. The governance will be private. Management will be private. But let's bring back the focus कहाँ है? Primary health.
Okay, so yeah.
सो अब जैसे मोहल्ला क्लिनिक में थोड़ा सा अगर देखें तो क्लास कॉन्फ़िगरेशन की बात आ जाती है. अब कोई वो पोटा कैबिन के स्ट्रक्चर है, इनिशियल आइडिया जो उसका था वो जे कॉलोनीज को सर्व करने के लिए या स्लम कम्युनिटीज के लिए, लेकिन अब उसमें जो लोग आते हैं मिडिल क्लास भी है जो उसको एक्सेस कर रहा है. बट मे बी समबडी फ्रॉम एन अपर मिडिल क्लास माइट नॉट, बट द आइडिया इज इम्पोर्टेंट. सो दैट इज व्हाट द प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स हैव आल्सो tapped in. And they are also working on the similar domain to attract their clientele.
Okay. So now एक जो सवाल मेरे को बहुत हमेशा इंटरेस्टिंग लगता है और थोड़ा सा परेशान करता है कि क्योंकि आपके टाइटल में भी न्यू लिबरलिज्म है, तो और जनरली अजम्पशन है कि न्यू लिबरलिज्म में अगर हम डेविड हार्वे को पढ़ें या और राइटर्स को पढ़ें कि न्यू लिबरलिज्म में जहाँ पे भी कॉमन्स की बात आती है, कलेक्टिव की बात आती है, उसको उस पर एक अटैक एक मॉडलिंग इकोनॉमिक मॉडल ने हमेशा करा तो ट्रेजेडी ऑफ कॉमन्स का जो एक आइडिया है वो बहुत स्ट्रांगली हमें नियोलिबरलिज्म में नज़र आता है और उसको एक ट्रैजिक माना जाता है कलेक्टिव के आइडिया को. दैट्स वाई this argument becomes very important. No, efficiency can only come when you privatize it. And from therein, people have always argued that neoliberalism tries to confiscate any potentiality when it comes to any offering of the public by the government. Any mode जिसमें public का idea हो, collective का idea हो. Taking that framework of neoliberalism into the background, do you think that Mohalla Clinic is an outlier? Like there is a kind of a paradoxical relationship between neoliberalism and Mohalla Clinic? Or do you think that neoliberalism has not been understood properly, especially in Indian context, in Asian context? We generally try to imitate what neoliberalism has underwent or how neoliberalism unfolded in West and tries to sort of argue that it will manifest in the same manner as it has done in the West. So do you think that there is a kind of paradox, or rather we need to delve deeply into the intricacies and the contextualities of this whole phenomena of neoliberalism?
Definitely, there is a need to delve deeper into the contextuality of neoliberalism, because in my readings, when I came across, there's a lack of understanding, and especially in the South Asian belt. How does it gets implemented and how does it gets manifested? It's very different from what the Western aspect of it or the Western manifestation has been. So, I mean, the core will be the same. However, the implementation and manifestation would be very different when it comes to the needs and the demands of the third world countries or the South Asian belt largely. So in that realm, I really think that there is a need to dwell into the complexities and the definitional aspects of neoliberalism. With respect to Mohalla clinics being contradictory to neoliberalism, it's not ironical, but it's it just ticks you that here we're talking about privatizing each and everything.
Absolutely, including water, including everything.
Yeah, everything is getting privatized. And we are offering free medicine and free lab tests, which is something very...
so this enigma of welfareism within neoliberalism.
So this needs to be contextualized more sharply in order to understand how is it getting manifested in these
or
belts.
Is it really welfareism or is it a charity model? That's another Labharti, and that debate is also there.
I don't think so. It's a charity model. It's, of course, it's welfare. If you see Mohalla clinics, I mean, of course, there is the money that there are free tests or free lab tests, but however, after a certain point in time, they would require the resource. The government puts in money,
and there is a right-based model associated with it.
That very much so.
It is part of the right to.
Very much so. I mean, we do not have right to health as a constitutional right. That's again very much debatable. However, the realization of health, and more so after pandemic, is been strongly advocated. In the southern belt, or if I say Kerala, right or basic needs begins with health. The northern belt, and especially urban areas, there essentially to understand health as a right has been a far-fetched idea. And that is what this model has brought back to the community and to its people. And that's what makes it unique. Rather than dwelling onto the nuances of what facility it provides or not provides. We have to largely look at the idea that it is bringing to picture. And if you see post when the 2015, since the inception of this model, if just a rough browsing of the manifestos of all these political parties, how it has transformed, health has become primary in their agenda. So there is a shift that has happened. And
though I'm not sure kitna usse
I mean, of course,
insurance modeling is also there, so it's not directly through public funding of health institutions, but through insurance, which is certainly not public in that
money,
sense.
Yes.
But still, I think you are right that bringing this idea back into limelight,
especially
the kind of the problems of political economy, the kind of political economy that we have in this context. In that context, it's an achievement, nothing
It's,
less
yeah,
than
yeah,
that.
yeah. How much do they work upon it? That's very really different from party to party. That's a different matter of evaluation. However, traveling till here in itself is a
It's a big
point.
thing,
Yeah,
yeah.
big thing.
अगर हम अब आपके मेथडोलॉजीज पे आए, जो आपने मेथडोलॉजीज या मेथड का इस्तेमाल करा अपनी रिसर्च तक पहुंचने के लिए, तो उसमें अगर आप थोड़ा सा बता सकें कि कैसे आपने किस तरीके का फील्ड सर्वे करा और क्या आपका सैम्पलिंग था, थोड़ा बहुत ब्रीफली.
Hmm. So, I adopted a mixed method approach wherein I did both qualitative and quantitative analysis. I began by dividing Delhi into 5 regions: north, south, west, east, and center. I located 50 clinics from this. These were 5 centers, so 10 each from each of the center: north, south, west. And from that 10, I've had, out of these 50 Mohalla clinics, I had 250 respondents. 250 respondents who were the beneficiaries of Mohalla clinic, who were catering to Mohalla clinics, or who were, who were getting benefited by the Mohalla clinics. So those were my quantitative sample respondents. For qualitative interviews, I had a number of 30 respondents, wherein I had 20 doctors from these 5 regions who were serving at the Mohalla clinics, and 10 people were a pool of academicians and policy makers whom I was able to approach. So those were 10 people. So 30 qualitative, and 250 quantitative interviews, and I myself interviewed everybody, each and every person. Quantitative interviews were not that tough. Qualitative interviews were challenging because these doctors were very apprehensive to give interviews
because your time overlapped with COVID.
No, I did during the second wave.
Okay.
However, it was not the overlap with COVID. However, more so they had reservations with permissions and party, all that government, because they were employed by the government.
Yeah, so coming to doctors, this is very important to us. It seems to me that doctors were paid on patient-to-patient basis.
Yeah. So these doctors are appointed by, they are appointed through a proper recruitment channel where the interview happens in the ministry itself. From there they are appointed, and these are in my interview I came across a varied age group. From starting from 30s to 70s. Then there were MBBS, there were physicians, there were specialists as well. So the degree composition and the age composition was varying. However, these doctors did not have security. How so? With respect, they were paid on the basis of the patients they see in a particular day. So 40 rupees per patient is what they get. And that is how they were paid.
And it was arbitrarily decided by the government, or what was the rationale?
See, this rationale I was not able to get an answer of. I did ask, but this was something which was policy, and so shaped up by the...
It points towards the same, undercurrent of the logic of the privatization.
It's neoliberalism, where everything is contractualized.
It's contractual, yeah.
And it's uncertain.
Yeah. So again, it shows a very different picture of neoliberalism.
Exactly.
There is definitely contractualization, but there is again, ironically, there is some sort of welfareism is also there. So it's like a very puzzling picture. I would say.
Yeah, that's why I say when in the South Asian belt, we really need to dwell deep into the complexities of neoliberalism, because here the way neoliberalism is getting implemented. The challenges in with respect to implementation it's very different from what West has. West has a very direct way of implementation. However, we have, is it because of the nature of diversity and complexity our society poses, or is it the political economy? This question has to be
Or is it the force on the part of a certain democratic push in Indian context, that whatever the economic forces tries to sort of unleash, there is always a democratic push from below, which resists complete privatization in that
because
sense.
you cannot deny this fact. There is a section of have-nots, and that huge section of
So there is
have-nots.
democratic constraints on the part of the
Yeah,
government that
yeah. So we can't
prevents
deny that.
true
And howsoever we have been transformed into new middle class, but that composition is less.
composition is less. And
Even the
even that
new
new
middle
middle class
class,
needs that new middle class is not rich class. I mean, certainly
certainly,
they
and they might be independent with respect to their job and education,
yeah.
but they still look for the state. They do rely on the state for matters
Yeah.
of important. I mean, idea तो उनका यही है ना कि बेसिक रोटी कपड़ा सड़क कपड़ा और है ये सारी चीजें सरकार का प्रेरोगेटिव है, ये हमें मिलनी चाहिए अधिकार के उससे. तो हम उन चीजों को नहीं डिनाई कर सकते. We can't do away with that fact. And of course the lower middle class and then the working class population does needs attention. Not only working class population, women, child,
True.
all of it needs state support.
दो जो और सवाल जहन में आते हैं, एक सवाल ये आता है कि जैसे आपने बोला कि इवन प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स, ग्रैंड प्राइवेट प्लेयर्स, अपोलो वगैरह, ये भी इस मॉडल को ऑब्वियसली in a private setup they are trying to imitate that similarly. But simultaneously we all see that there is extreme vilification on the part of upper middle class getting benefits from these big grand hospitals, private hospitals, which resembles 5-star hotels to me. Vilification is also there against these kinds of models. Ki free fund mein, this is like freebie, and this has a very negative consequence for the overall economy and economic growth. So how do you see that vilification? Do you think that that's sort of normal, or do you think that also tries to show us a certain kind of reality, that we are so stratified in terms of class, and again a certain class resist even the basics that has been provided to another class? How do you see that politics?
See, their resistance should not be a precursor to policy. That the one thing which the government should understand, and perhaps which has been which has done damage in the past. But this vilification
is done by middle class also.
Yeah, I think vilification you mean is
like the abuse against they vilify, they abuse that these mohalla clinics are destroying economy and like freebies.
I don't think that way. However, no, I don't think so that vilification from that class with respect to mohalla clinic has come.
As in, I'm talking about the upper middle class.
Yeah.
That
see, this middle class or the new middle class, for instance, is a very confusing category.
True.
Altogether, you will see them sometimes. You will see them बिल्कुल वेलफेयर की बात कर रहे हैं, बिल्कुल वर्किंग पॉपुलेशन की बात कर रहे हैं, और अपने घरों में उनका ही अब्यूज कर रहे हैं.
सही.
It's a very confusing class. So, but what is integral here is that policies cannot be shaped up just to woo this particular class, and which is a handful.
True.
It's a handful. So, however, some of the policies, I think, and our governments now, times to come, have become what I'm not talking about any particular party here. The government has realized that largely what's important and working in that direction. However, appeasement of the middle class or the new middle class has been there, because essentially they become the revenue generator. But
they give legitimacy to a certain kind of state.
State.
A legitimation crisis state needs them.
So, but you cannot deny working class, the needs of the working class, and that's why the relevance of public health
and
still remains in the neoliberal.
So these democratic constraints are always there, which is made democracy possible. Now coming to another question, which is very important, it seems to me, is that if you see mohalla clinics in Punjab, although I know that your work is on Delhi, but speculatively, it seems to me that there was allegation not just by opposition parties in Punjab, but even because I have done field survey in Punjab, not certainly on health, but on other issues, that I came across that there is some level of aversion, not aversion, but some level of cynicism towards mohalla clinic in Punjab. They would say that they have just painted the dispensaries which were there by the Akali Dal, which was initiated by Akali Dal government, and nothing substantial has changed in Punjab. So do you think that Delhi, so now the question is this, that do you think that Delhi, due to its peculiarity in terms of its economic strength, due to the fact that Delhi is the capital of India, can afford to have such things considering the economic system we have, which is certainly cannot be afforded by even richer states like Punjab, which is undergoing extreme deterioration. So do you think Delhi is an outlier in that sense in applicability and affordability of such models, or do you think that they can be sort of emulated or can sort of being copied in other states?
See, what I feel in Delhi, of course, the economics to have a different model like Mohalla Clinic and have investments in this model when you already had primary health structures and
But you
dispensaries.
also are need to take that into consideration. Delhi is revenue surplus.
Yeah, that's why I was coming on that. So, in that milieu, of course, it's beneficial for Delhi to have a system like that. However, if now that we move ahead with respect, initially the Mohalla clinics began with pota cabins and rented apartments. Now, most of the Mohalla clinics, with the newer ones which are coming, they are turning the PHCs
Okay.
and the dispensary, utilizing the existing model. And that was my argument as well, that why are we not utilizing those PHC, because it's like the resources का misuse है ये. हम नया structure क्यों लेकर आ रहे हैं जब हमारे पास already है? Why not transform those centers? And so that argument was there, and you rightly pointed it out. That was my primary question too. So now the newer models or the newer clinics that have been getting formed, or the polyclinics that have been formed, so they are utilizing the existing government models.
Okay.
So when with respect to states, when they copy it or emulate in their respective states, that's the choice of the state, that how should they be using their existing infrastructure and not spending that much, and
What are their priorities?
So it's completely up to the choice of the.
And it does not cost that much. As
No, the pota cabins do not cost that much. I mean, it's a very simple structure, and in Delhi itself, most of the pota cabins are on the government land. It's leased out. Central government and state government. So in partnership, that's happening. So there is a proposal to have incorporate these structures in the existing structure and utilize the existing infrastructure,
so that this
Yeah.
even this fiscal deficit thing can be
can
taken
be
care
taken
of.
care of. And largely, again, I will come back to the idea of bringing the idea and
In the
having that
limelight.
idea is important.
Thank you so much, Priyanka, for giving your valuable time to us. Thanks
Thank you
a
so
lot.
much,
It
Varun.
was
I
a
had a
pleasure.
lovely
Thanks a
conversation.
lot. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Emerge Cafe. I request you to subscribe our channel. That's it for today. Thanks.